Hello, how is everybody doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel. And today, boy, we have a doozy because we are going to discuss a lot of this weird controversy around Cyberpunk 2077 and the reviews. So for a couple of fairly obvious reasons, this is going to be a tricky video and a tricky conversation to navigate, but I think it's important to discuss it, and I definitely have some opinions on what's going on. Cyberpunk 2077, it comes out this week, you guys. It comes out in a couple of days. I am crazy excited for it. Make no mistake, I am so pumped for this game. I think it has a chance to be my game of the year. I'm even one of the very, very, very few people who really doesn't love The Witcher 3. And I know that might sound like heresy to say, but I can only be honest with you. I recognize why it's a good game that a lot of people, most people, really love. And I think that's fine, but I gave it a shot twice and it just didn't really work for me. But I could still tell that CD Projekt Red is an incredibly talented developer, and Cyberpunk 2077 seems to be right up my alley. I have full faith it's going to be a great game that is going to probably deliver and make me really happy. Now, of course, being that this is the launch week for this game, which is an insanely hotly anticipated game, this game was first announced, I think, back in 2011, I want to say, with a cryptic little, 60-second trailer of a robot lady and a gun and a slow-moving bullet, and there was no other hint at what it was going to be. Heck, there's even a chance that that trailer might have been released before they even started working on The Witcher 3. I don't know that, but that trailer was released, I think, 4 years before The Witcher 3 even came out, so who even knows what the cycle was looking like. And so it's taken close to a decade for this game to release. And with it being the actual release week after several delays as well, obviously, one thing we all look forward to, and we've been waiting for, are reviews of the game. Official reviews of copies sent by CD Projekt Red to different outlets or YouTubers or reviewers or whatever for them to play, capture footage on, and then release their review within the embargo period. But, as I'm sure you all well know by the time you're coming to my video to hear me talk about this, that's been not exactly what's happened, right? There's been a couple of very weird, strange things that have shaken up the whole situation with Cyberpunk and the reviews. It's been very controversial. It's got a lot of people up in arms, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I think that the main first thing to focus on is the fact that a couple of retail outlets appear to have broken the street date on this game. So quite a few people have already received their game. I mean, whether they bought it in a store or whether it was something they ordered online that has already arrived to them in the mail, quite a few people have already had a chance to play or even beat this game. And the key thing about this is that these aren't people who were given a review code to review within the embargo. Again, these are people who pretty much have been playing a street date broken copy that they should not have had, and they should not have been given the opportunity to beat this game. I don't fault anyone for just receiving a game early and playing it and beating it, so I'm not saying anyone did anything wrong. The retailers obviously have messed up, and CD Projekt Red should be really going after those outlets and saying, how the hell can you break a street date on this game? What are you, stupid? But that's what's happened. And so people have played and beat the game, but through no fault of their own, right? Because they just got this awesome looking game early. Who's not going to open their copy of the game that arrives at their doorstep and start playing it? Of course they've done that. Now, because early unofficial copies of this game have been getting out there and making it into people's hands, and people have been playing it and screenshotting or recording video and talking about the game or whatever, CD Projekt Red had to go out of their way to make, a statement, and they posted this on their official Twitter, and they made this statement about how to treat any early copies of the game that you might be playing. Here's what they said last week about the situation. They said, "We're getting closer and closer to launch, and chances are some of you will get your hands on a copy of Cyberpunk 2077 before release day. However difficult this might be for us to achieve, our ambition is for gamers all across the world to have the same spoiler-free experience at the time the game releases. This is why we kindly ask you not to stream/let's play or release any similar content before December 9th. We will send MaxTac, the guys who take down videos, after everyone who does. After that date, however, we would love if you'd stream everything like there's no tomorrow. It's 2020, who knows, maybe there isn't. So all things considered, it's a pretty fair and understandable statement, given the fact that, they tried their best to get ahead of the situation. We know people are getting copies early that they shouldn't. We know some official review copies are going to start going out soon, and for all we know, putting those out into the wild also creates a potential situation where the game gets out early. And just like a lot of companies, they wanted to do what they could to protect the game, to keep it spoiler-free, to make sure that it's, they're keeping the integrity of the experience for as many people as possible. And as we'll learn, they're also trying to hide a really buggy, kind of messy game. So it seems, again, I haven't played the game, but that's what it seems. So, what they're doing is pretty normal here. I mean, hell, Naughty Dog had to do similar things earlier this year with The Last of Us Part 2, and we've seen other companies do it with big games over the years as well. Like it or not, it's normal, it's expected, and they're not doing anything extreme, in my opinion, by releasing a statement like this. Of course, even though they did put this statement out, as we know, and I said, still people were receiving this game early, and they were maybe talking about it, or discussing it, or showing a screenshot or something of it. And one of the easiest ways for me to connect to this whole situation is through a friend of mine and a fellow YouTuber, Dreamcast Guy, who I know pretty well. We're pretty good buddies. I've been on the Spawncast with him several times. He's a really good dude. And, he's kind of been going through a little bit of a situation currently where he did get the copy early, apparently from Best Buy. They sent him a copy of the game. He had the physical box and the physical disc, and he played the game. He discussed it a little bit, mostly spoiler-free, like on Twitter and stuff. He beat the game. And which, again, in my opinion, he was well within his right to do because he got the frickin' game delivered to his doorstep. Like I said earlier in the video, if somebody receives a game early or not, they're gonna play it, and you can't fault that person. So he played and he beat the game, and obviously he's a normal human being who has opinions about the game now that he's beaten it. And then he made a video where, I actually didn't watch the video. My understanding is there was no footage, and I think that he was also incredibly spoiler-free, especially on the main story. Maybe discussed some side content a little bit, but didn't discuss the main story. And I'm pretty familiar with his videos and the way he, is very smart about working around things and trying not to do things maybe wrong or what have you. And I can assume it was probably overall a fine video that didn't necessarily violate this statement too much. But at the end of the day, he ended up getting a cease and desist from CD Projekt Red, and they threatened legal action at him if he didn't take the video down. So basically, CD Projekt Red saw it as close enough to violating what they asked people to do via a Twitter statement. They didn't put like a legal thing out there. They just asked people not to do this, and they thought it was potentially violating it. And so they threatened legal action, and, Max took the video down. He had a live stream where he discussed it, and I got to watch some of that as well. And he took the video down, and so that's been a controversy, and there's one more big controversy we'll get to beyond that as well. The only thing I'll say on the situation with Dreamcast Guy is, man, it's tricky. It's a really tricky situation because I feel like through no fault of his own, he had an opportunity to play the game. He didn't sign or agree to any embargo. Best Buy, who again, I think it was Best Buy, made the decision to break a street date and send someone the game early, and so all they did is talk about it. And, I'm willing to believe what he says, because I didn't watch his video. I'm willing to believe what he says, that he didn't actually spoil the game or show any gameplay he wasn't supposed to in the video. If he showed gameplay, and I guess I can't say because I haven't seen the video, but if he showed gameplay, it's a different situation. So I'm going to go on the assumption that he didn't show gameplay. And again, I know him well enough to believe he probably wouldn't have been that stupid. Then I feel like, he didn't really do anything all that wrong. But on the flip side, at the end of the day, he did get a copy, he wasn't supposed to have yet. CD Projekt Red did put this statement out. They said, please don't do it. We are going to go after you in a legal way if you put up similar content that you're not supposed to. And so, maybe somebody who receives a copy early probably shouldn't have necessarily discussed it in that way either. And so, man, all I can do is see both fronts. I wanted you guys to know that I know Dreamcast Guy a little bit, so, that part's clear. And all I can say is, I understand somebody not under embargo getting a copy of a game and discussing it, but at the same time, they very much said publicly, please don't do that if you do get an early copy. So they were probably within their right to ask him to take the video down, you know, with legal action or not. And so it's just a big mess, and I don't know. It just kind of brings us to where the current situation is. And so that brings us to the most recent development on this whole weird review debacle with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk, which is apparently today, what I've been learning through some of the tweets and stuff that are getting out there and people's experience with the game and with CD Projekt Red, is that also they're not allowing anyone in any current reviews, even an embargoed review with a release copy that they've given to people, they're not allowing anyone to use any captured footage in what seems to be an attempt to hide bugs and glitches from the game, which is super lame, and I super do not like that. I take major issue with that if it's as true as it seems, and I'm kind of willing to believe that it is true based on everything CD Projekt Red has said so far. And so I found this out through a tweet from a Twitter account and a YouTuber. I don't know if it's one person or multiple people. I'm not really familiar with them at all, but they're called SkillUp, at SkillUpYT on Twitter. And so here is what they said about their experience with the game currently. I have finished Cyberpunk, but I will not have a review up today as I could not comply with CD Projekt Red's embargo requirements that prohibited us from using our own recorded gameplay in the review. Instead, we were told to use B-roll, which is basically trailer footage. Reviews should not be vehicles for rolling out more marketing material, so I'll put my review up when I'm able to show you the reality of the game with my own footage. I'm also disappointed that no console review code was provided to any outlet. And they shared a couple of other tweets as well, but those first two tweets to me were like the meat of the whole situation and something that I actually have opinions on. And like I already said, my opinion is that's garbage. That is complete trash, and I absolutely hate what CD Projekt Red is doing there. I cannot support that kind of practice at all. And I know now you're going to say, oh, it's ironic. You can't support that practice, but you're going to support the game by buying it. Yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, I want the game. I've already paid for it. Like, it's already going to be coming to me in a couple of days. In fact, it might have even already shipped because I'm recording this here on Monday. So, you know, that part is what it is, but I do think it's at least what I can do is say that I super disagree with it. I'm not like a super big fanboy of CD Projekt Red either. I mean, you guys know, like I said, I didn't even really like The Witcher 3. So I have to say that this is not okay, because just like they say here, a review isn't supposed to be a vehicle for marketing. And by CD Projekt Red not allowing people to actually share visually and discuss with their words every single thing, good and bad, the entire critique about a video game, they're effectively using it as marketing. I mean, that's a great assessment that this person or people state about the game and what CD Projekt Red is doing. Like, they're trying to say, oh, we only want certain things out in a review, which is also supposed to be protected by fair use, by the way. And it's really, really skeezy and icky feeling to know that they're doing this. Also, they mentioned the fact that there are no console review codes that went out to any reviewers. And I think that's because right now people are only playing the game on PC. As of the time of the recording of this video here on Monday morning, the reviews currently stand at 91 on Metacritic. All through PC reviews, there are no console reviews for any Xbox or any PlayStation system. It's all PC. Obviously, that's what they played. And I can't help but wonder if that also kind of fits into CD Projekt Red's attempts to kind of silence or hold back some of the things about the game that they don't want people to know or to discuss. Maybe assuming that anyone playing this game on PC has such a beefy and capable PC that it's going to minimize as many of the bugs and glitches as possible that they don't want to get out there. And so if anyone was going to be playing it on any version of an Xbox or a PlayStation, there might be more bugs and glitches. It might not look the best because they're not quite as capable as a super beefy PC. So it just, I don't know that. This is just my personal theory and feeling, but given everything else that they're doing right now, I just wonder if this is more of an attempt to kind of hide some stuff that they don't want getting out there. And it's like, if that's really the case, CD Projekt Red, I just recommend that you make the embargo the date that the game releases. Like, if you're trying to get the embargo date a couple of days before release, I mean, it's within your right to release an embargo at any time, but if you want it to come out before the date it's released, then you gotta just let everyone get everything out there. You already said in your Twitter statement that once the game releases, anyone can stream anything, and you're not gonna worry about hiding glitches or problems from the game, which is a good thing to hear. That's exactly the perspective you should have, and it's also the perspective you have to have. You actually can't stop it at that point anyway. But why not just carry that through to the regular reviews? I mean, it's a video game. Video games are imperfect. You're like the millionth video game company to make the millionth video game ever. And every single game before yours has had problems. And so it's not going to shock anyone that there's bugs and glitches. Maybe the amount of bugs and glitches is going to shock people, and that just means, hey, that's something people should be allowed to discuss and to showcase for people to inform their buying decision. Like, if you don't like it, don't make a game with bugs and glitches. But if you made a game with bugs and glitches, people have the right to discuss those bugs and those glitches. And so, like I said in the beginning of the video here, this is a doozy of a conversation. And in fact, I don't even know if I'm going to have played any sort of footage of Cyberpunk in this video. I normally do that. You know, there's that 48 minutes of B-roll footage that they put out that should be allowed. Maybe I'll squeeze in like a couple of seconds here and there, but you know, I'm just not even trying to mess with this whole thing with CD Projekt Red. I don't like how they're handling it. You know, and I know that, again, some of the situations with people who got their games early, that's tricky. To me, there's a lot of nuance to that, and there's some good and some bad on both sides. But everything else about what they've been doing, it just feels wrong, man. I don't know. If I was to kind of sum up my feelings here after charting the events of the review situation, it's that, I think that CD Projekt Red is just acting afraid. And it's surprising for a company that's so popular and so successful. But also, maybe that's why they're acting afraid. I think that if your reputation gets as big as theirs is, there's so much more to protect. And they're so extra worried about anyone seeing any flaw with their 10 years in the making video game that's been delayed numerous times and people have been waiting forever. It might even end up being the best-selling game of the year just because the hype is through the freaking roof for this game. And so maybe that's why they're so afraid. But I don't like seeing them so unconfident. You know, it's really a shame. And again, I say that as somebody who really doesn't care about them either way. I'm excited for Cyberpunk, but I don't really have an investment in how CD Projekt Red is perceived. I don't really care about that, you know. They're just another video game developer to me. I also think this is another situation where, unfortunately, it's a case where it's just a lot of bad PR and a lot of bad publicity and press for a really big game that honestly will probably hurt the game in so many ways. I actually think that this does hurt the game, and it's definitely hurting the reputation of the developer behind it. But at the same time, it's also a showcase of, I think it's not going to matter at the end of the day. Because I think Cyberpunk is going to continue to review well, like it has been, and it's going to sell like crazy, and I think that, you know, it's going to probably be seen as a really good game. I think it's going to be a really good game, right? So it's like, that leads into my whole issues with CD Projekt Red seeming so unconfident and afraid, but I think it's going to be a good game. So it's like bad PR that hurts the game and the developer, but also it's not going to matter because I think the game is just going to sell like crazy. It's The Last of Us 2 all over again. It happened with The Last of Us 2 this year. So much bad press, so much controversy, so much hate and toxicity, and then the game came out and it's like one of the best and fastest selling video games of all time. You know, it's like, how much does this really impact the final products and the performance? It seems like a lot of times it doesn't really do much. And so, I don't know. This is all over the place. A lot to talk about, a lot to dig into. Very, very messy. And so all I'll say is it sucks to see the controversy, but I'm still hyped for the game. You know, what can I say? I'm human. I like video games. I'm excited for Cyberpunk. It's a couple of days away, and I know I'm going to probably enjoy my time with it. Yeah, if there's bad bugs and glitches, then I'll discuss it, and maybe I'll make my own video sharing my experiences, or whatever the case, and I'm not going to be afraid to do so, CD Projekt Red, because this is the game that you will have made. And so that's just what I think. So that's my summation so far. Maybe I'll touch on this again in a few days if there are any updates, but for now, I guess we'll see what happens when the game releases officially to the world later this week. So, tell me your thoughts. What do you think about my breakdown? And what are your own thoughts and opinions about this situation? With that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.